Hi, everyone. All right, so let me get my screen sharing. I'll start this presentation. Okay, so I decided to choose class for my presentation today. I wanted to kind of focus on how crime specifically impacts class and mobility in our society. My name is Elizabeth Smith, and I go to Arizona State University. This is for the course CRJ 304 for Professor Duran, and it is October 6th of 2023. Okay, so to begin, we're going to talk about the relationship between class and crime. Class and crime are impacted by various factors. Today, I wanted to focus on three of those major factors, which are social, economic, and cultural. Um, the first topic that I wanted to talk about with social is education. And education can be impacted by class and crime, um, specifically by determining if it is attainable, if it is quality education, and if it's affordable. The affordable part only really applies to upper level education, such as universities or community college. Employment, so that would mean opportunities within society. It impacts resources, so healthcare, welfare, mental health services, addiction treatment, and then also advocacy can impact class and crime, and that's specifically through government policies and law. And that's a major impact of my presentation today. Um, Government policies and law are crucial to the criminal justice system, and a big factor of that impacts class and crime in America. So on to the next factor, the major factor, we're going to be talking about economic factors. So that's going to be income. And I really wanted to emphasize the survival versus wealth mentality. So survival would be more of a lower income family, going to work just to survive. And then versus wealth, that's those people who are really comfortable and they have a lot of mobility within society. Um, so that gives them more access to equality. And then onto the third factor of cultural, this is a little bit more holistic, but these little bits that we come across every day, they do make a major impact in our society. So that would include norms that can be either societal or internal. And then next would be values. So this might be on an individual scale, on a group scale, or just between your close friends and family. But specifically, that would be beliefs, religion, and attitudes. And then next, your family has a great impact on class and crime. Um, if your family is supported, stable, healthy, um, these have been shown by researchers time and time again that it does have an impact on crime and therefore an impact on our class. And then peers, so outside influences, specifically more so friends or maybe individuals you were in school with. And then lastly, our community, so our neighbors, are we in recreation? Are we having connection? These all are great impacts on class and crime. And so to kind of get into the biggest part that I wanted to talk about, government and policies and law. So on my trip to Norway, I got to visit the Nobel Peace Center, and I really love this quote. It says, "Democracy is not something given to us for good. We have to take care of it and fight for it constantly, otherwise it disappears and goes away." So this quote demonstrates the importance of fighting for all these aspects in society. And in criminal justice, social factors are typically overlooked, but they're instrumental for the well-being of our society. I really love this quote. This is by Henry Thomas Buckle. It says, "Society prepares the crime and the criminal commits it." Okay, so our first one that we're going to get into is education. Higher social class is associated with higher levels of educational attainment. Access to quality education impacts criminal delinquency. I noticed, kind of off topic, but I noticed when on my trips to Norway when we were studying the correctional system, education was really pushed over there. And that became a large factor that we focused on, which I feel like is not emphasized enough here in the US. Um, there are disparities in our education due to our class system. I feel like that's universal throughout the world, but it's very prominent in American culture. Early childhood education is very important in regards to class and criminal behavior. Unequal school funding, that has a large impact. Parental involvement, they've shown that parental involvement at a younger age actually helps you with your education and your success in your future life, which aids in more mobility moving forward. financial aid and affordability for higher education. Access to education is a big topic, especially in America, and having that being attainable is very important. Education is correlated with criminality, and class can impact education. This causes a vicious cycle in society today. So, in this quote, according to researchers, family income and children's educational outcomes have direct implications for children's future upward economic mobility. And that was from the Pew Charitable Trusts. In this photo, I just wrote my explanation on the bottom. Oh, let me go back. So this photo just kind of made me think of education and how it's correlated with criminality and class. So these two kind of have like a never-ending impact on each other, which can cause major impacts in our society. Okay, so next, employment. So class and crime are interconnected and they have major impacts on our employment. So let's focus on lower class. So lower class individuals might experience crime at a higher level. So therefore, they have less economic mobility. Many communities are impacted, and incarcerated individuals also experience low economic mobility due to this as well. High crime rate neighborhoods experience less employment opportunity and economic growth, and that was from Sharkey and Torratz in 2017. This photo is from a DUI crash in my hometown of Folsom, California. And my note here is that crime can impact an individual's employment status, whether they are victimized, convicted, or incarcerated. This causes economic immobility among groups. Without economic mobility, employment becomes impeded and impacts one's ability to provide. Okay, next, let me move this real quick. Resources. This is a major impact. So healthcare, addiction treatment, and mental health services. Those who experience crime can experience disadvantages that encumber them financially, further worsening their status in society. This can be healthcare, which focuses on poverty, sickness, and disease. It can be addiction treatment, drugs and alcohol, specifically, like I said earlier, especially with drugs being criminalized in America. A lot of these addiction treatments can be unattainable for lower class society. Mental health services, specifically those who experience crime and may need help with trauma, etc. There's a lot of mental health impacts that come from an increase in crime. Nutrition, a lot of researchers have found that nutrition has a major impact on our body's ability to process stress and just traumatic experiences like crime. And that could be normal everyday survival, such as access to food and water. Next is welfare. That can be social security, disability, etc. All these resources are instrumental to people who experience crime, and this can further push them into possibly a lower class and impact their mobility. Those who experience crime may be in need of resources. In these pictures, I put a couple of resources. So this is a picture of the hospital. You just see an IV bag. And then this is one of my favorite books. It's called The Body Keeps the Score, Brain, Mind, and Body in the Healing of Trauma. These resources are very helpful, but they may not be available to those in lower income brackets. These people may have trouble receiving services for their trauma, addiction, or disease. And for mobility in society, these resources need to be accessed. All right, so policies in government. Policies towards crime impact communities greatly. It is important for policies to be effective and to work and resolve underlying social issues. Government policy should advocate for individuals by increasing the possibility for economic mobility, allowing for changes in policy and law, and it will allow for growth. So these pictures here, this on the left is the Norwegian Parliament, and the building on the right is actually the Royal Palace. So the Norwegian Parliament excels in social advocacy among those who have experienced crime. Norway is one of the most up-and-coming policymakers that a lot of people are looking to, especially in the United States, just so we can get kind of an insight on how to handle these issues. They safeguard these rights by evaluating their policies, laws, and ensuring humane treatment in all aspects of their government. And the royal families actually play a role in this as well. Okay, so here was one art piece that kind of impacted me. This is a quote from the artist saying, "It is totally wrong and unfair." So when traditional hunting methods were criminalized in Norway, the native Sami artist Marit and Sara hung art in front of parliament to challenge the social norms. This art piece became very controversial and extended rights to minority native groups in the area. The laws targeted lower class individuals in society, and this was the artist's call to action to prevent this criminalization. So this picture was really neat. It kind of plays a role in how instrumental policies in government are, just in class and crime in general. Sometimes lower class individuals are criminalized over something that may not necessarily be a crime, but you know, we still have to fight for our freedoms either way. Okay, and then here is norms. So these can be societal or internal. I listed a couple here. So that could be expectations, what society believes is acceptable behavior. So that's a lot of the time how we create our sentencing laws or our penal codes. That can also apply to our internal beliefs. And then this also plays into perceived power roles within society, the disparities that we face, internal identities, specifically within ourselves, and then any perceived risks in criminal activity. And then these, I know we see this a lot in the United States, but this picture was wrought iron windows guarded in the lower class communities in Norway. And that shows that the society there has internalized views of crime and delinquency in that area. Okay, and then here, the values. So values in society that could be, cultural norms. So our values in America greatly impact economic mobility, incarceration, and crime. The loss of moral and ethical foundations has caused crime to increase, further impacting members of society. With these value changes, America has seen an insensitivity to criminal acts. These values ingrain negative values within our society. So here we can see this tower. Let me move my face over here. So this tower was where they used to hold prisoners. It kind of just gave me insight to how in America, Norway's changed a great deal. These prisons on the right here are actually very outdated, but their beliefs towards incarceration and crime in general is very rehabilitative, where we are more retributive. And incarceration in Norway has advanced greatly over time, whereas America has kept its same values. Okay. And then here, this picture just kind of focuses on family. I have a couple quotes from the Department of Justice. It says, according to the Department of Justice, research confirms that children raised in supportive, affectionate, and accepting homes are less likely to become deviant. Children rejected by parents are among the most likely to become deviant. Studies also indicate that the child's disposition plays a role in this causal chain. They also stated studies indicate that positive parenting, including normative development, monitoring, and discipline, clearly affects whether children will become delinquent. Adequate supervision of free time activities, whereabouts, and peers are critical to assure that children do not drift into antisocial and delinquent patterns of behavior. Marital discord and conflict and child abuse correlate with delinquency. So some of these, outside factors within your family that can impact class or crime could be your family's income, your family's beliefs, your family's culture, your family's background, their stability, their health. This could be physical health, mental health, and then also their support. Okay, next, also a crucial factor is going to be your peers. Here you have a picture of my peers in my class in Norway. So I also put a quote in here. Over the past decade, combining social learning theory and friendship network data, several studies have consistently documented that the association between peer and individual delinquency is one of the most robust findings in crime and delinquency research. So peers have a major impact on one's economic mobility and class order. Peers can inhibit one's movement in society or support one's growth. In regard to criminal activity, peers are one of the most influential groups among teens and young adults. And then this picture shows my peers and shows a connectedness among our class. And throughout our trip, many people in the group were influenced by others. And I have to say, I am in the age group where peers are one of our most influential groups as a young adult. Okay, so let's see. Lastly, We have community, and here I just put a couple pictures on the left and the right. These are pictures of our local farmers market, and then also I put a little picture at work. And I wrote, a sense of community is crucial for economic mobility and class movement. Through community, there is an opportunity for support and growth. If a community fails, there is chance for an increase of crime. So these pictures at a farmer's market are to capture the sense of connectedness in society. People need collaboration and inspiration to grow.